Hey everyone, this is my attempt to explain how to use MoveAny and actually set up your extra action button to come up really big on your screen. Currently I'm on my hunter, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to a delve in which the extra action button is being used often. If you have any questions about my UI, basically it's a basic UI that you can get from using the built-in UI that Blizzard added, and a couple of add-ons that I have. On the left, I have Hikili. On the right, I have an add-on to show me the world flags and the actual flags for that you can put on people's heads. So what I'm doing right now is I'm going over to Delve Creek Bell's Rest. I completed it earlier, but I need to complete it again. So I'm doing it. And I'm going to do it in level 1 because basically I'm doing it for my belt so that I can get the upgrade for the belt. So I really don't need anything from it. First thing to show you is, for those of you that are completionists and want to see what it is that I have, the Overcharged Titan console is complete. I don't need to put any points into it, so that's why you'll see me walk through things. And my Bronzebeard is at 80. He's a tank. He has Combat Curio, Utility Curio, Goblin Death Bomb, and Overdrive Pylon. Alright? I'm probably going to change that to 3-dimensional and maybe the Mechasaur. Okay?
Grab one of those enchanted candles to stay
First thing
safe
you'll
from
notice
these
is that there are candles on the floor that you have to pick up so that you can actually walk around without being in the dark. And you'll notice that right on the left hand side of my screen, a big button shows up with one of the candles. I can click on it and put it down. So again, left hand side of my screen, big button shows up with a candle. That was achieved by using MoveAny, an add-on which I've installed. I have lots of add-ons, but in particular MoveAny, I've had it for basically 2 years now. The person who created it, he's a very nice guy. He gave me his Discord channel, and he updates MoveAny almost as much as people update details. Hopefully it won't be nerfed by Blizzard because it's a great add-on. Alright? And you'll notice I have plenty of add-ons. It's not like I'm hiding them. Let's see if I can find it here. Here's MoveAny, and it's by Drakir. You'll notice that's how it looks when you have it installed. If I turn it off, it goes like that. If I turn it on, it goes like that. Anyway, when I pull up MoveAny, gives us the same sort of windows as if we were going to edit the screen with Blizzard's editor. And then you'll notice Blizzard's editor is kind of different. Here's all the bars that I have. Here's my information about quests. Here's my raid information, my mini-map, my buffs, and everything. But there's the extra action button is missing because it's so small when you use it using the built-in Blizzard editor. It's just a small button, almost like this one. You don't want that. You want something big so that when it comes up, you can actually move it around. So the first thing you want to do is you want to make sure that the extra action button is not selected here. And since it doesn't show up here, you don't have to worry about it. Alright? Close up the edit button. And you want to start up MoveAny. I'm starting MoveAny with the slash command. It's called /MoveAny. That's the command. That's quickly as that. But you can also use the button, which is underneath two other buttons, sadly, on my UI. Let me close it up and let's see if I can move it. Yeah, there you go. And notice that the button itself looks like a little head. You just click on it and it'll pop up. So here's the first thing. First thing you want to do is you want to look for the extra action button on the list. And it's not easy to spot, but you see what it's called. It's called extra ability spells for quest boss. So basically you look for that. And there it goes. It has a check mark in it. And mine, for most of you, it will probably not have a check mark. You have to put the check mark in and click on reload. And then once you've clicked on reload, you can actually move it around. Alright? Now remember, it's going to be small when you first encounter it. So you won't be able to do anything with it. If you right click on it, you can actually scale it up. And you can move it easier. Well, you can move it around without using these arrows. But to adjust it perfectly, use the arrows here. And you can scale it up so that it becomes bigger. Once you've scaled it up, you basically can close this window, do a reload, and it will automatically go get saved at that position. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to reset it, and you'll see how small it becomes.
Charge!
So right now, the extra action ability is in the middle of the screen. And you see how small it is. I don't want it in the middle of my screen. I want it over here. And so I dragged it over. And now I want to make it bigger. I've scaled it up to 2.0, and I brought it closer to my character. I don't want it on top of my character because there are situations where you don't want to cover your character up with it. You basically just want it to show up close to your character so that you actually know that there's an option for you to click on. Alright? Save and reload, and from that point forward it will actually be saved like that.
Charge!
So you see how big it is? I can basically click on it. Put down, and I can put down the candles. Now again, this is so that you have this ability easier for you to get to. There are other abilities in the game which are similar. I would not advise putting them all on top of each other. I would try and tier them out. Like, let's say the extraction button would be here. The special button for the car would be a bit higher. Things like that. But again, that's your choice, how you do it. There are some other things that you can do with MoveAny. I'm going to point them out. If you notice on MoveAny, you have different bars, and as soon as you put your cursor over it, it will tell you what the bars are. So I have a couple of my bars, they're basically not on top of each other because I want to see different things. But if you look at this, the LFG status, rather than having it here or looking for a group, it'll actually, it normally shows up on the bars, the mini bars. I have it put on the mini map, and I have the tooltip right next to it. Alright, so that way you have the LFG status showing up there. To move it around, you have to scale it and you move it around over here. Don't try to drag and drop, it doesn't work. It'll actually mess up. But you'll notice there are some other things that you can do that with. This is the vehicle seat indicator. Normally you don't even see this until you're in a vehicle. Target of target frame. That shows up only I must have made a change. I don't want it to save anything, so I'm just going to reload.
Charge!
So you notice I wasn't able to close it if I make a change, so that's a way that you get saved. But here's my target, right? Here's myself. I targeted myself. Here's my target. Now I want to see the target of my target. By doing the MoveAny command, I can actually set it so that it shows the target of my target frame and where I want my target frame to show up. Okay. There's another zone ability, which if you look at it, it will be small. It'll show up small. So what you can do with the zone ability is you can put it right on the top of the extra action button. Then right click and change the size of it. You don't want to cover the extra action ability because it might actually show up at the same time. So by having both of them there, you basically have the ability to select either one. I gotta do a reload. So again, this is all
Charge!
because of MoveAny. MoveAny gives you that ability. And when you're basically in the thick of it, you don't have to worry about trying to find a little tiny button on your screen. It will show up as a big button. Okay? There are probably other add-ons that can do this as well, without having to modify a bunch of stuff. And I know that there is a macro for the extraction button where you can put it on your bars. But this has been the easiest solution. So when you're fighting the one-armed bandit and you pick up the coins or the shock or the bomb off of the floor after you kill the ad, you'll get the extraction button right there. And whenever you're in one of these that you need the extraction button, it'll be right there, right next to you. Again, this is very useful. It doesn't toss any errors normally. And as far as I know, there are no other add-ons that actually give you this ability easily. There might be one. I'm not saying there aren't. But this is the easiest one I found to use. Okay? If you have questions about my UI, I have a couple of things that might be intriguing you. First of all, this is Healy right here. These three buttons. These three buttons are the single button assist. I just made copies of them and just put them as 1, 2, 3, and I've been playing around with it to see how it works out, so that I learned the rotation from seeing it on Healy and that. Right here, these are again an add-on which lets me assign symbols to the top of the head of people without having to go into the raid window and clicking an extra button to do that. Right? If you see anything else that I didn't mention, ask me. This is all details. I just broke it down into windows. I have damage done, healing done, overhealing, CC breaks, dispels, interrupts, and deaths. And basically, I don't need all that. I just have them set up that way so that if someone asks me a question, I can just answer the question quickly. Right here, I have the cursive. Even though my hunter doesn't use it, I can see a curse on someone and maybe help them get decursed. Those are the only things that I can imagine that you guys would be interested in. My objective window is tiny. I can make it even smaller. My raid and party windows are right here. If you notice, I have the cursor add-on modification that gives you squiggles and everything like that. It's so that you can find your cursor easily. Also, I have my cursor increased in size so that it makes it bigger. My graphics are set so that my screen has the most amount of space possible for me. So where you see use UI scale, I have it set at 65. If I increase this, it'll make everything bigger. But right now, I want to keep it the smallest possible so that I have more space on the screen. My graphics itself are set to high, and spell density is set to essential. So only spells that are really, really important will be shown. And again, I have an older card. I know some of you already know this, but I have an older card. I have a 1660 Supra. And basically, it hasn't failed me yet. Right now I'm set to DirectX 11 because of an error that was happening. It was turning everything green screen. So we basically decided to put our DirectX to 11, and that stopped the error from happening. Again, I don't have anything special going on. I have all my action bars turned on. Raid frames, I have raid colors turned on, and I have everything like set up this way so that you can see things properly. But again, nothing that I have in here affects the extra action button. So you basically can see what it is that I'm doing, and everything looks normal here. This is the single button assistant, and that's the rotation that it uses. You'll notice that a couple of the attacks are not in there. It doesn't have Call of the Wild in there. It doesn't have my Fireblood in there. It doesn't have Hunter's Mark in there. So basically you have to do those things yourself. And that's it. Thank you all for listening. I'm sorry if I rattled on for a little while, but I just wanted to give information out, and hopefully this will be helpful to someone who needs to get to that extra action button easier and quicker.